Are you ready to learn? Because my super experienced guests are ready to share some really valuable information. Make sure and listen all the way to the end to get help and support. So let's start with the best audio experience.
Hello guys, welcome to our show. Today we discuss about technical SEO and website migration. It's important to increase website speed to get away all possible broken links, features. That's why I'm so excited to discuss this topic with Ludwig Makhyan. How are you?
Hi Anatoly, doing good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Looking forward to learn more about that. Because I've learned a lot from you when you share all these great lessons in my course. I love them. So enjoy. I usually tell my customers, please learn from Ludwig from this SEO course. You can get a lot of insights how to provide technical SEO. Why it's important, because it's not only for Google, it's for users. Users need to get websites without errors. Ludwig, before we start, just tell more about yourself, experience, background, about your native country, and how to pronounce the correct way your second name.
Sure. So in Armenian, we have the letter Ch, which is not available in English. So the actual last name is Makhyan, but in English I'll pronounce Makhyan. I was born in Armenia. I graduated my university there, and pretty much the university years when I started diving into web development, I would say, back in the day, and then digital marketing. So as I started with HTML, CSS, basic programming, back then there was ASP programming, which doesn't exist anymore. I learned coding, programming, databases, etc. But over the course of time, I saw myself more into the marketing side of things, and SEO was a better alignment with my background and experience. So I would say for the past almost 20 plus years, I've been doing SEO, even back in the day when it wasn't a thing.
Nice. Yeah, great. Let's talk more about technical optimization. Can you tell what tools do you usually use that it's a must-have for finding all these errors, and how to use them right? I mean, like, what kind of feature is better to check out on these tools?
Absolutely. I mean, the tool set is pretty wide depending on what you need to check. When we're talking about technical part of a website, there are so many things that could go into it, starting from domain setup, server, firewalls, up until to the point where Google can see the code, or other search engines can see the code of the website, which is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other elements that are on the page, which a regular user wouldn't see, but they are a part of the technical SEO tool set, I would say. There are several tools. I don't want to market a specific one, but some of the ones that I use are Screaming Frog. Ahrefs crawler is pretty improved recently. SEMrush. But those are the basic ones. Again, those are the ones that analyze the code, internal linking, and other elements of the website. It depends what kind of a technical challenge it is. Sometimes you have to debug the network to see how the firewalls are set up, how does it work, what are the IP addresses the search engine is connecting from that may or may not reach the website. So depending on what the challenge is, you start with ideally you shouldn't have a problem, but if you have a problem, you start with the problem and try to dive deeper and understand what could be the issue, and then use different tools to get to it. But the more common one, I would say, is pretty much Screaming Frog, Ahrefs, and a few other tools that could do the internal crawling. Or even Google Search Console can provide a lot of good insight. Recently, I've been using Spotify as well, Deep Crawl, that can give more information in some of the areas that are cloud-based crawlers.
I think all tools have advantages, disadvantages. I remember when John Mueller on Twitter told that you can use only Google Search Console. It's enough. What do you think about this point? And can you tell what kind of advantages you can get from Screaming Frog, Google Search Console, Ahrefs, and other mentioned tools, and why you use a bunch of tools, not just one tool, Google Search Console.
Sure. Google Search Console is very powerful, and it does provide direct access to the data you have related to Google search results and your traffic and crawling. But in some cases, this information is not easy to manipulate with. Let's say you have thousands of keywords, millions of traffic. You can't individually look it up in Google Search Console, and you have to in some way export the data. From the export, you only get up to 1,000 rows of data. Then ideally you want to use the API, and this is where it comes. You have to use some other tools to easier manipulate with the data. This is at least for the statistics portion of it. You also have the crawl data from Search Console that you can get. But it's one thing what Google sees, it's another thing what happens on your server when a search engine visits. So if you are having a large-scale website and you need to dive deeper into the technical aspect of it, you also need to dive into your server logs, seeing what happened at a certain period of time. Google may report it saw an error on a page which you visit today, and it's a regular page, no error, everything is fine. But to understand what happened at a certain period of time, you still need another tool set to get to it. Why different tools as well? So let's assume you're using Screaming Frog. You have it installed on your computer, you run it, you crawl the website. You do get a lot of data, similar to what a search engine bot would get. It makes it easier to view some of the issues, to group them together. But then at that point in time, you weren't using the specific IP address that, let's say, Google bot was using to crawl your website. And let's assume the firewall blocked Google for whatever reason, and the pages weren't crawled. So you still, it feels like you have no problem on the website, but in reality, a search bot would have seen an issue with the website because it was being blocked. This is when it comes, you can't just rely on one set of tools to see what happened or what's going on. Or let's assume you have technical errors on the page. Google Search Console doesn't necessarily provide you all the technical issues you have on the page. Could have been broken HTML, could have been broken JavaScript, or other issues that don't necessarily show up in your Search Console reports.
Mm-hmm. I have the question about critical errors. You know, it's interesting that I often see when customers are asking to fix technical errors to get 100% by page speed insights. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. Probably it's a good idea if you can, you know, but it's not possible in many different cases when we have hard content, and many big websites have no 100%. For example, I check out pages on Amazon, Moz, many other great websites. Some of them have less than 50. No, they don't care a lot about that because they have traffic. The page looks good for user experience. Can you tell about finding critical errors and choose priorities? Because you know, when I use any tool, I can find a list of errors, a lot of errors. It might confuse what to do, what to fix. So any tips about finding critical errors, and what do you think about getting 100% by page speed insight?
I'll start with the 100%. So that's just a number,
Yeah.
right? And when you do the page speed insights, that number you're getting at that point in time, depending on the traffic of your website, how fast your server loaded, and other factors, including accessibility, etc. But whether it's 100, 99, 70, or 80, or 10, what's the point of page speed insights, right? There are a few major factors. Your website has to load fast so that you don't lose traffic, because people would leave within 2-3 seconds if it doesn't load. Another factor in page speed insights could be the errors in your JavaScript, which means you have a problem in the code. Ideally, you want to fix it because every user is facing that problem when they visit the website. Other things that could impact your score are accessibility. Of course, you want to make sure your website is accessible based on the standards, at least the minimum standards. So the whole point of that isn't necessarily SEO. It's making sure your website is accessible, it works fast, it provides the information for the user, it's not broken, and it doesn't have errors that it's not supposed to have. Now, in terms of prioritization, any tool is going to give you, oh, you have duplicate H1 tags across the pages. You have missed the H3 tag on this page, etc. If it's a small fix, you can quickly fix it. Why not just fix it, make it like more standardized, more structured, making sure your code is valid, right? You want to create a website that's not only useful, but also valid for browsers to parse, etc., and looks right. But if you don't have traffic on the page, do you necessarily need to focus on fixing those? Usually, I rely on a few factors, what to prioritize. One of them is how easy it is to fix. How important is it for the website to load or function if it's not fixed or if it is fixed? And then you go down by the list. You can filter it down to, let's say, one small change fixes thousands of errors, or sometimes, let's say, you have an H1 put on the website across all pages, the same thing. Of course, ideally, you want to change it, making sure that the headings are properly assigned to a page. So depends how much effort and how much value is it going to bring to the website or business, or potentially, is that actually the problem the website has for not ranking? Another factor, again, going back to the page speed, is comparing to others that rank higher on the specific terms for the page. Is their speed better or worse? Do you actually need to hit 100%? I wouldn't say so. Can you fix 100% of the technical errors in Search Console? Sometimes not. You would still have a lot left off, which are normal. For example, you created a page, you redirected the page, you updated all the links. So you're not actually linking to the old page, but Search Console still reports a redirected page. That's not something you can fix because it's already fixed. It's just a report that letting you know there is a 301 redirect happening. Or let's say somebody is visiting your website without HTTPS. They just go to HTTP or domain.com. They get a 301 redirect. A tool like Ahrefs would report a 301 redirect happening on your website, which is normal, and that's how it's supposed to work. So you can, clients can always get scared when you give them a report like you have 20,000 errors on the website. But sometimes those could be like 15 to 20 fixes that are implemented. Some of these could be ignored because even though it shows as a critical error, that's the way how it's supposed to work. So using the tools is just getting the information of what's going on with the website, and then filtering out what's actually necessary to fix or to spend time on. Or do you have the resources to fix it? Is it possible to fix that is it possible to get 100% on a WordPress site? Not necessarily. You may look into another CMS for that. Mm-hmm. So I know I didn't directly answer your question, but I did give some tips and tricks on how to handle it.
Yeah, I agree. You don't need to be mad, about that, obsessed that to get 100%. Think about sales, about traffic more than about fixing all technical errors. Yeah, but some errors are critical, and I wanna ask you about how these errors appeal. For example, it's interesting because we can fix technical errors, but in a few weeks, if I check out one more time, I see new errors and some old came back. So can you tell how errors can appeal and your tips what to do for example, like to check out one time a month, to technical audit? Any tips about that?
Sure. So depending on what platform you're using or how the website is built, that what can cause errors. There are a few ways to go about it. Let's say a standard CMS like a WordPress. Every time an update happens to a new WordPress version, or some plugin updates automatically, or you manually update it, that could introduce some new technical errors to the website that you haven't seen before. If you have a custom website, over time, you're updating code, different teams are updating different things on the website, so new errors could be introduced with the update. You're changing something and you're not thinking that it could impact some other URL somewhere else where the canonical could disappear, for example, or appear. Sometimes those can be just human error. So it varies from where you look at it. One point we could also touch here is the Search Console error reports that you're getting. Pretty much weekly, it sends out an email saying, you have an issue with your structured data on this page. Sometimes when you look closer, those could be just warnings, not necessarily errors to fix, but something that could become an error in the future if Google changes some of the parsing mechanisms of its bot. And sometimes you would see a page, let's say it says it's no longer mobile friendly. You go in there, you inspect the page, and suddenly it's just fine. In those cases, usually this is when you dive into the server logs to see what happened with that specific URL when Google crawled it, because it is possible that one of your JavaScript didn't load. Your server couldn't handle the traffic. There was an ongoing update going on your website. There was too much traffic, your server couldn't, handle all that traffic, and then at the same time you had a search engine bot coming in. So there could be different factors. If you're not making a lot of updates to the website, that could be also maybe the server system has changed. The version of your server has upgraded, and there is an error introduced because of that. So you always have that upkeep of tech baggage, especially with older platforms, that you need to follow up with. How often to do technical audit depends how often you update the website or how many pages you have. Sometimes it could be every week, putting some kind of a crawler on autopilot to crawl and report, or sometimes it could be every couple months, depending how important that website is, or what are you trying to achieve with it.
Nice, valuable. I wrote an article about white label SEO tools. I reviewed 19 tools, great tools like SEMrush, CRanking, many others. And I found some tools can provide obsolete data, obsolete information. For example, the recommendation that you need to have 2,000 words on your page. And of course, it depends on user intent, on content, or for example, if you have title, the tool can tell you need to have like 60 symbols. Who says 60 symbols? If it's enough to get like 40 symbols or 65. So can you tell how to, for example, if we use tools and get such obsolete recommendations, tips, how to figure out which are good, which are not, because many users have no extended experience to feel it. And your tips how you can figure out which one great or which are not.
Those absolute recommendations are very helpful if you don't know a lot about SEO and you just want to do something about it. But when you are an expert in the field, this is some of the critical errors you ignore from those tools. There are many factors impacting a page's ranking in search results. And Google has been clear over the years that the length of the word or text is not what gets you ranking. It's more of the other factors and how your text is written, or how does your page answer the user's query. So if you're looking for what is something, you're not looking into buying it at that point in stage, right? You just want to find out. And some of these feature snippets that started popping out past few years help answer the user's query right on Google search results rather than going to a third-party website. Back to the original question about obsolete, how many words you should put on the page, what should be the title lengths. Those are good recommendations.
I can feel it's not obsolete. It's more like related to average data. Like every studies can show that pages with 2,000 words rank better. But of course, but the average pages. But if you are talking about the whole internet, it depends. For example, if people are looking for a keyword, I don't know, Elon Musk age, Google can reply to this question. You don't need to write an article about his age and why he has this age. People need the number. So any tips, how to figure out that these recommendations probably the average or obsolete, something like that.
Again, those tools are helpful to give you an idea. I'm not going to name tools, but some of those tools, they take the content, let's say, from the top 20 pages of Google. They analyze the content and say, most of the competitors use this keyword 3-4 times within their context. Average text is so much. You got to score X number to get ranking on the first page of Google, or top 3 results. This is what you could improve on. But still, this depends on the query that the user was running. If the user was looking for a government agency, it's going to be tough to outrank that specific government agency with some of those keywords because they're number one. That's what the user is specifically looking for. But when we dive into different keywords, you could focus on other things. The average data is good. It's helpful. It lets the copywriter know what others are writing about or what to write about. Sometimes you may forget like related keywords or synonyms that you could use in your context to make it more friendly. But ultimately, does your page answer the user's query? Is your user trying to buy something, or is your user trying to learn something more? Similar scenario is with the meta titles. There is this limit, 56 to 60 characters. That's a recommended maximum because that's how much usually a search engine would display on its results pages for the meta title. You don't want your meta title being cut off, and some recommend that, you don't want it too short. But I've seen a lot of pages that have 2 words in their meta title and they rank number 1 because that's the specific topic that page is talking about, or 1 keyword in the meta title, and that's it. So even though it may show up as a critical issue in some of these tools, you don't necessarily need to do any action towards it because you already mentioned what the page is talking about. There is nothing else to add on top of it. Same for the meta description. There are so-called limits on the lengths, but that again comes back to what the search engine results pages are showing up. So if it's showing up to 200 characters or 160 characters, that's what those tools recommend you to use. But I wouldn't say it's like really important to focus on that. And at the same time, I wouldn't say you should put, all your page copy into the meta description because you want to have those keywords in there. So try to be realistic on how many words you want to use, but don't focus on those numbers either.
Yeah, Ludwig, my next question about web developers. For example, what I found, SEOs often create audits, technical audits, then send to clients or to web developers. And when they get these audits, in most cases, they can't fix even 18% of all these recommendations. I often see it. Probably it's better to find other web developers. Probably they don't understand. I don't know. Can you tell how to simplify understanding of technical audit? Because once I found on Twitter that customers usually implement 40% of all recommendations. But if you are talking about creating content, 40%. But about technical optimization, I think the number is less. So any tips how to explain web developers what to do, how to fix it, or for example, you can share your examples how you usually explain about that.
Absolutely. It depends on the issue or what you are trying to get to the developer. Usually an initial SEO or how different could impact SEO. So initial education is important. Usually what I try to do when speaking with the developers directly, before giving them the task, do this, it would be like, this is how we have it. This is a better practice. This is why we need to change it. And then give them a couple of options how to do it. I'm trying to think of an example, but there are just so many different scenarios. But ideally, you don't want to just say, oh, fix this for SEO, but rather how else could it improve the website? For example, let's say internal links, you have a ton of 301 redirects, right? For SEO, you want to correct the link to do directly link to the destination page and eliminate the 301 redirect. One way you can explain it to the developer that is going to improve the server performance is, let's assume a search engine is coming to the website. It sees page 1 link. It goes to page 1 link, gets redirected to the page 2 link. So if you update the link to page 2 directly, the page 1 link is not going to be visible anymore, right? The search engine robot may visit that page from time to time to check if the redirect is happening or not. But at least at the moment you remove those 301 links from your internal links, you reduce the number of hits your server gets at least by 50%. So no longer page 1 is being linked to. The robots don't visit the page 1 because they don't see that link anymore. And you improve the server performance with that small change. You can even ask the dev team to export the logs to see how many times that 301 is being visited, how many times it's being crawled. Same thing with the user. If the user clicks on page 1 link, gets redirected, they made 2 hits to the server to get to their destination. If you fix the link, they're going to get just 1 hit and directly go to page 2. So you eliminated 1.001 second, let's say, of your server time and server load.
Yeah. You share a great lesson about website migration on my SEO course. Yeah, I enjoyed to learn this lesson. Can you tell for listeners who didn't take this course about checklist of website migration? Because I often see when websites lose ranking positions, traffic, because of doing something wrong or not correctly, I don't know. So can you provide your checklist, how you prepare website for migration and implement the process?
That's a long topic to cover, but
yeah,
it's a lot of work involved, depending on the size of the website, the importance, etc. But I usually split it into three part checklist. One is pre-migration, then the migration day, and then post-migration. The post-migration is usually even 2-3 months long, rechecking the data, because sometimes the issue you don't see right away, they could come up in 2 months because you and the developers missed it. If someone is working in migrations often, I would recommend them to create their own checklist and keep updating it with their experience of each and every new website migration. The migration day is usually a 1-day checklist. The site went live. Are the redirects happening? Is everything okay? The pre-migration is the heavy load, understanding, how many pages does a website have? Which of these pages is important? Which should be migrated? Which could be deleted, or which needs to be 301? Are we migrating from, are we doing a redesign of the website, or we're migrating from a platform to another platform? Because those could introduce different challenges. If there is a server change, there could be domain pointing issues that could come up. So it depends on the type of the migration as well, or what's the website undergoing, because every time you update your website, you're introducing changed code. You want to make sure that code isn't making it worse. It's making the website better and improved, whether you're working on the speed, the redesign, you're changing the server, upgrading the platform, or whatever. So it depends on what type of migration the website is undergoing, and then making a list of things to check, starting from, did you migrate the Google Analytics code or Google Tag Manager code from your old to the new website? How many pages have the highest traffic? You want to make sure those pages aren't too different from one another. Are the URLs changing? Is the metadata changing? Is the copy changing? Is the form disappearing on the page? And a ton of other things that could happen. So making a list of things that you could think of depending on the type of the change you're introducing.
Yeah, it's interesting that it depends. Most common reply in SEO, John Mueller often replies like that. It depends. I agree with that because because it depends. Ludwig, my next question about AI. That was simple to ignore, hard today, impossible tomorrow. And a few days ago, I spoke with Jeff Coyle, co-founder of Market News. We discussed about AI because his website can help a lot with AI. He told me that in the future, we will have three types of companies. The first type that can develop AI. The second type of company can implement and integrate AI to their products. And the third type is obsolete. Obsolete companies that can leave the trade. So can you tell how AI can impact technical optimization? Because I know Amazon web developers use ChatGPT to create codes. Probably it can help to save some time. And your tips how to integrate AI, if you can develop, of course, how to integrate AI in technical optimization.
That chatter is also related to some of the other chatter that's going on. Oh, SEO is dead because AI is going to replace the industry, right? I would say SEO, as it stands, search engine optimization, is going to live as long as search engines live. It's going to change, and it's been always changing. Going back, 20 years, it was just about the meta title, domain, and the keyword. You would use in the meta title, you could rank for a keyword, but today, you got to do a ton of other things to make sure your website is search engine optimized. And similar scenario is happening now with the introduction of AI. For example, copywriting, right? You no longer have to do low quality content because a product like ChatGPT integrated with Market News can make things a lot easier. Just now we talked about the different ranking and content lengths, etc. And Market News is one of the tools that does that type of analysis. And recently they integrated ChatGPT as well. So depends how you want to use it. If we're talking about AI answering basic questions like, what is the age of person X? Google has been trying to do it with, feature snippets for years now. A few years back, there was the introduction of voice search, and everybody was like, SEO is gone. But no, SEO evolved, SEO improved, and better optimized the website for search engines. How to integrate AI? For technical SEO, it depends. So it depends how the market is going to move forward with the websites. Are still people going to be interested in those low quality copy websites that are spamming the internet with a lot of pages or generating a lot of content, even with ChatGPT today, to get more pages indexed and kind of steal traffic and then market something, put ad on the website, etc. It depends how the market will move. We're going to see within the next few months or within the next couple of years. Of course, companies who develop AI, I think there aren't going to be too many of them. There are going to be a few major ones that are being used as plugins or as sources for other types of applications. The companies that implement them, of course, they're going to be there to integrate with your solutions. What are you trying to achieve? Let's say I know technical SEO, and these are the types of formulas I have developed over the years that I use day to day. I could train the AI with those formulas to reduce the amount of work I'm doing. Is it going to replace me? Few years at least, because the AI lacks the real life experience. The AI lacks a lot of things that are outside of the code base or text or zeros and ones that it needs to comprehend, understand, and see and take in before it can provide feedback, right? But a lot of things definitely could be automated. For example, page speed checking, analysis, comparison of 5 websites together and giving you a report. How are you doing against your competition? Even today, you could compare a few websites together using ChatGPT or Bard, and it would give you some kind of scoring, or it would list the different things that you'd spend 2-3 hours analyzing within a matter of couple seconds for you to look into. You could debug your code, and you could better train your AI for your specific website what to check for, whether it should check for the canonical URL, the 301 redirects, the 404 errors, etc. So you could do a lot of QA automation with AI and train it over time. I think over the course of next year or two, there is going to be a lot of improvement and a lot of automation and usage of AI tools as assistance is going to improve. So it's going to come down of what type of an expert you are and what you can do that the AIs can't do.
Yeah, nice. I agree. I think AI is not replacement, but it's replacement for someone who ignores AI. If you ignores to adapt in your products, in your execution, it's replacement, because it's the same like when farmers got the first tractor. Someone who ignored the tractor technology, they could lose their jobs, because it's hard to dig this land. But if you adapt and can control the tractor, why not? If you can drive it, so you can get results. And according to SEO is dead, I think SEO will be dead, but I don't know how long it will take to be dead, because everything has the end. Everything. I remember when Jeff Bezos said that Amazon will be bankrupt one day. But who knows when this day will become? I think it's the same. Like SEO can be replaced, of course but even I don't care about that, because today Google has 8 billion searches a day. So 8 billion searches. If you see decline, then even SEO is not only about ranking on Google. You can learn how to create high quality content that you can adapt to any marketing channel. You can learn how to increase speed of your website and have website without technical errors. It's important for users. It doesn't matter what kind of channel you use, because SEO is far away from just ranking on Google. Many things you can learn from SEO, but having this experience can help to any other marketing channel. Don't care about SEO is dead or not. So today SEO is strong, and it takes time to change habits. People don't change habits for a moment. It takes time. So that's why SEO is strong. And
once the search engines die, that's when SEO is gonna die. But it's gonna get changed to something else. Maybe AI optimization.
I think marketers on radio and TV didn't lose their jobs because they adapted to digital. So if metaverse will come, okay, we can adapt to metaverse. But if you have experience, you can adapt faster than your competitors without experience. And Ludwig, my final question to you about the future. We touched about this topic, but anyway, tell what kind of future will be in technical optimization, and your tips how we can adapt today to this possible future.
It's hard to predict the future. Even with that much data giving it to the AI, it wouldn't be able to predict the future. But of course, everything is moving towards improvement and growth. Whether it's a website, a good idea. You know, when the mobile apps came out, everybody was saying the websites are going to be dead. But today, you don't necessarily install an app because you want to visit a website or you want to purchase something. You may have apps like Amazon, but sometimes when you buy from other stores, you don't necessarily install the app, right? So there is going to be some kind of change, some kind of improvement. The pace is very fast with AI because you get to do things 10 times faster or 100 times faster, where once you provide all the information to AI, it could do the review or report to you within seconds. SEO, I don't think is going to die until the search engines die, because that's what the name is, right? Search engine optimization. There's a search engine that needs to feed some kind of data, or you need to feed to it, so you need some kind of optimization for it. But I believe that some of the queries and some of the need for search engines could be replaced with AI, not necessarily ChatGPT because it's more of a language model, but once Bard, let's say, is improved, or Bing is improved, to use artificial intelligence, the actual artificial intelligence behind it, those could answer a lot of queries on the spot, like featured snippets where the person doesn't need to visit a website. But still, there is going to be some kind of an expertise that those AIs won't be able to answer. They can analyze the data, they can analyze the text, they can give you a response, but they're not experts. So you have the real life experience, which people would need to feed to those data centers in a way. And that's where you'll need some kind of optimization, whether it's SEO, AIO, whatever you want to call it. But there's still going to be need for that.
Yeah, nice. Ludwig, I still have one question. It's important to ask this question because I have students in my network who are looking for ways how to learn from scratch without experience. And let's imagine you have no experience. Forget about your 20 years of experience. You started today, only today. Everything what you have is just your laptop, nothing else. So what will you do today to learn more about technical optimizations?
In either case, I believe the knowledge comes in when you dive into the actual problems. So build a website, take a website, and start looking into the problems, and then looking into how to fix those problems. Today, you can create a free website with WordPress or some other platform, implement a design, put some content in there, crawl and see what kind of errors it has, and then try to fix those errors. That's when you learn. That's when you remember. At school, you're being taught something, then they give you a test. But in the real life, you usually are given a test, and as a result, you learn something. So I would say SEO is similar to that. You can learn quicker, you can learn faster. You do need some kind of initial knowledge. For example, what is HTML, what is CSS, what is JavaScript, some of those basic things. But all this information is available free out there. Maybe reading, Google's Webmaster Guidelines, best practices, taking the W3 Schools course for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, maybe even XML a little bit, and then making a website and trying to rank it, and then fixing the issues, and then moving that website to another domain once it picks up some traffic.
Yeah, nice. I agree. I couldn't agree more, because it's now, for example, if you learn a lot and do nothing, you get nothing. But if you learn less, but implement and execute, then you can really learn. The most skills are coming after implementation, execution. And I think, Cristiano Ronaldo prefers to hit the ball 1,000 times a day than to read how to play soccer,
Of
because
course.
it's practice. Ludwig, it's a big pleasure to get on my show, to learn from you. Tell our audience the best way how to keep learning from you, how to reach out to you, how to follow you.
I think LinkedIn, Twitter. I do tweet sometimes. Email. I'm happy to help. I have a lot of people reach out and asking questions that they don't necessarily find on how to fix in some areas. So whenever I can help, I'm always there. Just Google my name, and I would be the only one in the world with this name.
Nice. Yeah, guys, you can find the links to LinkedIn account, to Twitter account in the description below. Also, Ludwig posts content time to time on Search Engine Journal. You can enjoy this content, so valuable. You can find articles that Ludwig wrote on my SEO course. Yeah, very helpful. It's a big pleasure again. Thank you a lot, because I love this experience. That was fun, interesting, valuable. I recommend to anyone to follow Ludwig on social media, because you can see a lot of value. Okay, love you. See you.
Thank you, Anatoly.